It's the scene tonight finds finds Mutt, Ed. Eh, depends on who you are. Depends on what you call him. As long as you don't call him cat bait or late for dinner. Um, Heading back to the National Forest area. He's had 2-3 days to gallivant around New Sarum, checking out the park, having shiny moments around the historic district downtown, and then finally venturing into the projects. Not surprised with what he's found, but at this point he's gotten at least back into the northern edge of the national park, New Sarum, and for any that are, anywhere within earshot, they hear through about three well-spaced howls of varying pitch.
Jeff, Northern Edge of National Park is not the White Orchards, it's the other Cairn you're going to.
Oh!
You can go there also, it's fine.
Oops! I forgot. Sorry.
Oh, my work is done here.
Sorry. My work is done. It's going. Wait, scratch that. He's not going back to the national park. He's heading. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. He's heading into the rural area. Toward where Dutch had shown him. Where the White Orchard Cairn was. Good old White Orchard. Maybe they got apples. And
Maybe they do.
Yeah, he lets out three well-spaced howls off into the night.
Yeah, let's do something. Roll me a charisma and performance for it.
Charisma.
Normal difficulty, standard difficulty.
Okay. Sounds kind of cool. Let's see if we pull this off. Otherwise, we're going to be fucking it up. And if we fuck it up, well, you know. Oh.
Not so good.
No, it's not a botch, thank God. But, yeah, that's okay. So, he just lets out three wild howls that are successive.
For Dodge, if he's around, he could roll perception alertness difficulty, I don't know, 8 maybe, because he's quite far out.
Alright. Just double checking my character sheet. Yep. Nope, doesn't hear a damn thing.
Oh shit, I actually forgot one. It's supposed to be 4, not 3.
So you do have a success.
Okay. It's still not exactly what he was going for. It's a little too successive, but you know.
Well, as he lets out this succession of howls, there's silence for a moment, and then somebody responds. Dun dun dun. And they respond really well.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck. Yeah.
Well,
Vibrator went off.
Dutch
The
may
howl,
not have heard the first one, but he definitely hears the response.
the last howl that is let out is basically along the lines like, "Stay there, wait there."
Huh? What slows his pace from his brisk four-legged jog, and comes to a stop. Just kind of lays about on the edge of a field.
Well, it doesn't really take
Sets the beers down.
very long. Did Dutch recover his trailer and truck, by the way? He's
Yes,
a few
he
days
has.
away, so okay.
Yes, he has. Actually, at this point, Dutch is currently tracking the second howl, the only one he's actually heard. But
The second howl came from much closer, and it was a specific howl that he heard. And yeah, I assume Dutch is awake at this point, or whatever he's doing.
oh yeah, late to bed, early to rise.
Okay. If he goes out of his trailer, or does he stay inside?
At this point, he's was probably working on sitting inside his trailer, inside of his truck / home, probably working on reloaded some of the empty cartridges just due to recent night's events, and he's taking the time and doing so. When he does, he ends up taking hold of one of his rifles, Julie this time, and starts stepping out.
How close is the trailer to the house, by the way?
Oh, probably about 300-400 yards.
Sounds fair enough. When he picks up the rifle, there's a movement right outside the window, just something like running past. Really fast.
What the fuck? He starts to exit out the back and steps down. Ends up giving chase, trying to see what the hell's going on. Taking
If
a
you roll
peek down.
the standard, I guess, perception alertness, you can probably see what is running away. Yep, what you see is a rather, well, slender, dark-furred wolf. Not completely black, but...
What the hell? I'm assuming Dutch does not recognize the individual whose home this may
No,
be.
not really. It's not somebody he's seen before.
Alright. If that is the case, he is currently giving hot pursuit. Clearly not able to end up keeping up with this individual's speed, this thing that just ended up running by his truck. Still, that doesn't stop him from giving a good brisk pace going on foot.
While Mutt's sitting, the beer between his forepaws, just kind of, he just kind of tries to let out a howl of, I'm waiting.
Well, a few minutes later, Shadow just jumps out of a bush. It's the same dark-furred wolf that Dutch was following. It's slender but healthy, like well built. It approaches Dutch, raising its head. Its ears are up, tails up. It's not a sign of happiness, but curiosity. Not Dutch, Mutt. And it starts approaching and smelling towards Mutt.
given the fact that the recent, how can we say it, cleanliness is kind of worn off, he smells like he's been rifling through more than a few dumpsters.
The wolf smells him, even goes to smell his butt. Then goes close to his face, its head higher than his, just looking down on him.
Stands up at this point and picks up the beer and just gives that really look.
The wolf looks at him and, in wolfy language, would ask, "What is your business here?"
Sets down the beer. Well, I got back into this land not too recently, or not too long ago. Actually, kind of wound up a little bit outside my old stomping ground. And the first person I ran into in the national park at first, man in orange, I asked him where exactly, what the orientation of this area was, and I think he was confused.
The wolf nods. Man in orange, man in orange, man in orange. It just says that a few times. It smells Mutt's face a little bit more. You were what tribe again?
Just gives that really look again. It should be kind of obvious. I smell like where I've been sleeping.
At this point, Dutch can make his entrance, by the way.
Dutch probably will not, though. He is once he sees this, he probably recognizes Ed. He doesn't recognize the other wolf, though. That wolf. Yeah. The black wolf was probably the one that run by the camp. So, Dutch, not being a complete imbecile, probably knows that, this is probably someone from the Cairn. He just doesn't know who. So, he decides to try and make sure stays not spotted. And he seems to do fairly well hiding in the bush line, even despite his orange. And I have taken a +1 penalty to the action because he's still wearing his orange, as opposed to taking it off and using a pure camo.
At this point, the wolf shapeshifts to the form of a human. It's actually a woman with olive skin and dark hair. She looks to be in her, 30s. She's not really that muscular, not that big, but you don't really see much under her clothing. She looks at Mutt and says, "Welcome to the White Hill Orchards. Please follow me."
If Mutt could sigh, he would probably sigh, but he says, "Well, okay. We'll do it this way. This might be fun." He thinks to himself, and good God, too many. Jesus. Cooperate, hangouts. Haha! Success indeed. It takes him a little bit longer. Must be an off night, but he does likewise and takes the man's skin. As he shifts, he pulls the plastic beer ream from his mouth, holds it in his hand, and says, "To be fair, I need to remember my courtesy. I'm sure my Sept mom would kick my ass if I didn't.
Mm.
I'm an Alrune of the Bonengnawers, originally of the Sept of the Green.
Sept of the Green. I've visited once. I am Black Fury Galliard. Luna's arrow, if you will, or Diana Caius, but how? What rank are you, Bonegnawer?
I the spirits, the last spirits I communed with in I guess you could call it an umbral moot. They told me knowledge can be more important than rank. They took the much acquired deeds and accomplishments, kind of currency, if you will, and they taught me some stuff I did not know. Quite a lot. It took a while for me to squeeze it all in, but
You must understand I'm asking as a formality.
Cliath. Very experienced Cliath.
Welcome then. I'm Fostern, but still, you are welcome. Come along, we have a house this way where most of the kinfolk live, and a few of us. And we'll let the warder decide if he allows you to stay. It's my job to take you to him.
Fair enough. I know usually most of us are generally, not shied away unless there's some kind of danger, but I can understand the...
It's a precautionary measure. Understand it has nothing to do with you.
No. It's fine. Besides, if you decide to let me stay, it just means...
You get a home.
Yes, a home. And this city is kind of fun. Well, especially that construction site in the projects. Quite a big one it's going to be.
She motions to him to follow. They actually pass by Dutch. She doesn't seem to bother to be looking for him or anything. She hasn't seen him.
As Ed passes by Dutch, he tosses him the
Is he even aware that Dutch is there?
Oh, wait.
Dutch has been hidden this whole time.
I don't know. Well, let's see. I don't know if he's looking in a direction, but I don't know. Let's see, shall we? Is he aware? Fuck, I don't know. Gonna be quite difficult. No, he's not. Even without that one, he would not be aware. Because his difficulty was 8.
And Dutch continues to follow along. He's more observing than anything. Keeps the rifle ready, just in case, but he recognizes Ed. This Diane, not so much. Seems to think pretty highly of herself. I haven't seen what she can do, though. Might be just a lot more of another girl trying to play pretty princess.
The woman leads him to what seems to be an open area. There's a rather large Western-style house. There's a barn. There's a small administrative building. Somewhere in the distance, probably he could see Dutch's trailer, but it's about 400 yards away. Mm-hmm. At this point, a man comes out of the house. He seems to be, well, not very tall, but well-built, with, well, long hair, Native American man. He looks at Ed. He looks towards the woman, and she bows to him. Forgive me for bothering you this hour, warder. We found this Bonegnawer on the Bon, and he's performed the howl of introduction, but we wish to know if you accept him and what is it you order. The Native American man looks at Ed.
Who stands about 5'9". He's wearing a classic detective trench coat that looks like it's been patched up all over the place, has pockets out the yang.
The Native American man is not much taller. He's not really tall. He's quite small, actually. He looks... do you have a name? I am Stocks the Mists, by the way, of the Uctena, and I'm this Cairn's warder.
Oh.
Who am I talking to?
Can't say ever met a Uctena. Heard of you. You're
It's the first time for everything. Could you tell me more about who you really are and what is your business here?
Well, a bunch of folks just called me a mutt, so it stuck. But you can call me Ed.
Go on, please.
Well, I started getting a little homesick in the last year and a half, traveling, I don't know, Ed's just gonna kind of guess that way. He thinks he's pointing toward the ocean. Yeah, somewhere across the water over there. Up until a year and a half ago, I was traveling with my old pack before we went our separate ways.
Understandable. Well, welcome home then, Ed.
But, yeah, most exciting part, we headed over to some Petunia place, somewhere in the desert.
I'm not familiar with that part of the world, unfortunately. I've only been on this side, so...
We were tracking the movements of some threats. Unfortunately, they went into hiding and we lost their scent.
Fair enough.
But I've been from the northern desert on what was that word the man alpha used to call it? Something called the medium med? Yeah. Southern edge of
He looks also as confused. Apparently he doesn't know much about geography. While
There's a voice that comes from the woods as Dutch steps up. It means the Mediterranean.
The woman nods in agreement. Yes.
Mediterranean? Mediterranean. Yes. And the Tunia place is what are those other men over there called? Africa. Yes, North Africa. Yeah, I traveled from there, went all the way as far east as that took me. Then ended up coming back up north, went through a place with a bunch of really old, large marble buildings and statues. Found a man with a big crooked stick and a beard. He was kind of cool, actually.
At this point, the warder looks at you. I would assume you're Lupus?
Mm-hmm.
So am I.
Oh, finally. You have no idea how difficult it is to get around in the manskin.
The warder, the engine, points toward Dutch to come closer.
Dutch is, at this point, since he revealed himself, he did not end up feeling the need to end up pushing himself into this conversation. However, making his presence known might have been seen as a point of respect. When he was beckoning, he continues to end up walking towards them. rifle kind of slung in his arms ever casually, not really hanging on to it, but he need to fire, just walking on up to him. It's at that point he kind of stops and tilts his head, looking at the individual, this warder.
The warder actually he has seen before. It's Ben Walker.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dutch.
And
Ah.
you.
That's the name. When Mutt or when Ed finally sees Dutch, he kind of swings and switches in a very performance-oriented, kind of comedic way. The ring with the two cans of beer and just kind of tosses them with a slight flourish toward him. The
Appreciate it.
cans look like they've been pulled out of a dumpster. They're a bit dirty and they feel a bit tepid. Hey, you realize how long it took me to find those?
Appreciate it, Ed.
The warder watches this confused. I take it you met the cub? He points to Dutch.
He's a cub. Well, I guess that would explain. The conversation we had about 3 nights ago when I first met him.
Well, this particular cub actually has received quite good praise from his mentor, and as far as I know, has been doing a good job.
You taken to the learning, okay?
Well, some things are slower than others, but I'm not really up to date with the cub's training overall. It's not my job. You know
So
that.
glad they keep talking about me like I'm not here.
Oh,
And-
sorry. Hi.
But, yep, sorry, Dutch. The thing is, he's been doing well. There's just some aspect of your training, Dutch, that we need to work on, from what I've been told. I try to keep up to date, but I just don't know everything.
Appreciate it.
The most prominent thing that you will notice around Mutt's neck, especially if he's a warder, and anyone with a Sept position is very familiar with implements used in rites. You'll notice what looks like a small, center pylon-shaped crystal around his neck on a thong.
The warder looks at it for a moment, but does not make any comments about it. Well, Dutch still has to master, shape-shifting, but I'm pretty sure in time he'll do well at that.
Dutch grimaces at the comment.
I hope I didn't overstep my bounds.
No,
I kind of when he showed me how to get here initially, I guess I was a little bit of the ragabash kind of rubbed off on me a little bit too much.
well, understandable. Regardless,
But yeah, I kind of took him into the Umbra. Don't worry, he got
it's
out.
part of the learning process. I won't blame you for it. He's already been to, 2 field missions? Was it, Dutch?
Yeah, and I was already taken to the umbrella in the projects.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's filthy.
Well, the person who took him to the Umbra in the projects, according to the report I've read, decided that a practical demonstration might be more suiting to help him understand what we're up against.
Agreed. That's quite wise. But, yes, if you allow me to stay... Well, if you don't allow me to stay, the only thing I ask is, are there any dangers in the area that I should know about while I'm making my way, moving on?
Well, to break it down to you very, very quickly. Also, Dutch can know of these because he's part of our community as far as I'm concerned. The city is, well, full of vampires, but that's probably something you are very well aware of.
Oh, aware of what?
Vampires. Leeches.
Ugh. Wormkin.
Wormkin, indeed. We're currently working on following a few leads regarding something, but we're not sure the angle of it, and there has been some local tension with another Sept, but those are the most immediate threats at the moment.
Now, Mutt does not have vampire lore.
Yeah.
So he's kind of going out on a limb, and, well, they proved correct. Well, where one agent of the worm is, there's always another, and another, and another.
Regardless, this is a warning for both of you. If you are approached by Shadow Lords, watch your behind.
Duly noted. But I'm not gonna. I definitely won't do anything aggressive toward them. I have a bit of a reputation to uphold.
And
How do you identify a Shadow Lord?
if they come to you, they might introduce themselves as such.
I can only hope that it remains that convenient.
Or you can always look for the tall, dark, and sometimes handsome, but not always.
Regardless, what else did I want to tell you? Yes, Ed. As far as I'm concerned, you can stay. Your tribe has good knowledge of the city, and our local alpha is actually a Bonegnawer as well.
Does he know? Has he ever been to New York?
I believe he has.
Does he know the mother?
Probably. I don't know if he knows her or not. Well, there's a little bit of history for both of you. Our current alpha, Joe Cummings, or Trash Trails, if you want to call him by his guru name, or Grandpa Joe. I was part of his pack when we reopened this cairn. We found it and we reopened it.
Why was it closed?
This is not something many know, but this was a Croatan cairn at some point in time. It was lost.
What?
Croatan Dutch are a tribe of werewolves that sacrificed themselves to the last to defeat a great worm spirit.
Wasn't that also somewhere about the time that that one tribe fell to the worm?
It was after that.
That's right. I get those things confused once in a while.
But basically, in short, they sacrificed themselves, and many cairns they controlled remained untended. We found it, and our Rite master, Aunt Felicia, who's also a Bonegnawer, by the way, reopened it.
Well, if it, well, if you have need of a, you see, it sounds like you may have need of a soldier. You've come to the right place.
Also, since you're a Bonegnawer, despite the fact you're a lupus like me, your knowledge of the city is invaluable. We usually prefer not to go there. So consider yourself welcome. Expect you will receive guard duty on occasion, or, well, when needed. However, otherwise you are free to pursue whatever it is you want to, as you know, as long as you don't endanger the Sept. And, well, it seems you know Dutch, so it's actually good that you have a friend here already.
I don't know. I'm still working out the details. So far, he shares his beer, so yeah.
At this point, he just dismisses the guardian who goes about her business. Well, gentlemen, with this I'll retire. It is quite late, and I'm not on duty tonight, so I will try to get some much-deserved sleep.
Yeah, I hear you there. Mutt kind of just...
He turns around and basically just waves slightly and goes back towards the house. While he does so, he just drops to Lupus form. He's like a small, slender red wolf. He goes into the house and you don't see him again.
You know, if I didn't know any better, he has the spitting image of a talon.
Uktena
I
actually...
thought it was the squirrel myself.
Actually, Uktena are known to have mated with the Mexican red wolves, so that's why they appear.
Yeah. But Mutt kind of turns to Dutch. So, cub.
Keep pushing, Ed. Keep pushing.
I assume you have been keeping yourself out of trouble for the most part.
At this point, the bolt is lifted of his rifle, slides back, flashing forward, and now one is officially in the chamber as it goes down.
That's nice. I wouldn't push it if I were you. Oh, come on. Come on. If I can have a sense of humor, and generally speaking, our runes don't, then everyone can.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about the last time you decided to end up here walking down and end up here leaving me in the... Well, suffice it to say, it was a long walk when you can't exactly use standard tracking locations just to figure out your orientation.
Well, that is, after all, why I stuck with you as long as I did before heading back into the city.
Yeah, but as I recall, I needed to figure out how the hell to get through myself.
But you found out?
Yeah. You're not doing me or yourself any favors, Ed. Now, is there anything else that is particularly pressing, or is this just a case of you want to end up continually giving me a hard time at a moment where I should be crashing, hitting the hay, and proceeding to end up waking up because, unfortunately, 4 o'clock in the morning does come early?
Well, always remember, might as well carry something shiny on you at all times. Preferably reflective. And have you ever given any thought to taking a good four-legged run across the countryside?
No fucking chance.
Oh, why not? I'm a sport. I'm taking the two-legged stance.
Yeah, good for you.
It'll be good for you.
No, it won't. It'll be a case of I'll end up doing that, and then I will be very, very upset, very uncomfortable, and quite possibly acting upon some extremely rash thoughts that I'm trying not to end up acting upon right now.
Afraid you might like it. It's fine.
Dutch has this look on his face for a minute, he's somewhere else. He's, for a half a second, maybe a full second, Ed no longer exists to him. Go ahead, roll the perception empathy.
Sure. I'll indulge this curiosity. This acts be fun. Let's see. Can this amount of chance cubes do anything? Oh, Jesus Christ. Apparently you can. Okay, then.
For a second, he is... You might be able to smell it on the wind. It's Dutch is thinking back to skinning an animal with a hunting knife. He's thinking about tearing off the head with a single bite. Woman. He's flashing back to these emotional highs and lows. You could definitely tell. You've probably seen it before, considering how experienced you are. The sign of a cub who's still not recovered from the first change in the slightest. Is bringing out some extremely violent impulses that he is trying not to act upon right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, we'll give it a few days and try to get the bad thoughts out of your head. And 3 days, one way or another, look me up, I'll be around. If you reconsider, I'll show you the ropes. But for now, I might as well ingratiate myself by pulling volunteer guard duty tonight for a few hours.
Dutch kind of looks over where his trailer is, a couple 100 yards away. Looks to the bush line, which is probably only a couple of meters away. Walks up to the bush line, sits his ass down. He unloads the rifle, pulling out one of the bullets, the magazine, reloading the bullet back into the magazine, tucking it in to his pocket, zipping it up. He lays the rifle with the bolt open, lays it across his legs as he ends up stretching out back against a tree. Just takes his hat, tilts it over his eyes.
Mutt walks away at this point, reverting to his native form, and proceeds to start making some rounds after checking out the primary building.
The primary building seems to be a sleeping area. It has a kitchen. There's the smell of food coming from inside, but like it's been there hours ago. It's no longer on the table, let's put it that way. And the smell of the warder comes from inside the house. The door's open.
Mutt thinks to himself, can't pull guard duty on an empty stomach. And heads into the house.
As he walks into the house, there's a large lobby/living room with a fireplace, stairs going upstairs. There's a kitchen to the side, and that's where the smell of food's coming from.
Yep. That kitchen is my next destination.
There are actually 3 fridges there, rather large ones, and a nice freezer box. And the smell of food's coming from there. They've been cooking tonight some form of dinner or another. Probably multiple meals.
Mutt's going to go over to the middle fridge, kind of get up on his hind legs, and use his forepaws kind of like this, and try to eke it open, pulling his paws away, trying to do it fast enough to get his body to hold the door open and investigate.
The fridge opens. This one seems to be actually the meat fridge. There's loads of ham, salami. There's even like some cheese scattered here and there. It's not fully dedicated for meat, but most of the meat is there.
Wait, ham? We talking sliced ham, or are we talking a whole ham?
There's a few whole hams. The fridge is rather large.
Mutt grabs the ham out. And kind of, when he steps back, nudges the fridge closed, walks over to a corner, and proceeds to pull some om-nom on the ham. Yeah. Give a Bonegnawer an inch of hospitality, they'll take a mile. But they'll usually give back about 300 yards.
Yeah. As this happens, he's going om-nom-noms. Let's see if somebody shows up. Somebody does show up. There's a girl. Well, Dutch is not there to see her, but she just woke up, to maybe get some water in the middle of the night. She looks at Mutt. Hey?
Mutt kind of pulls his head up, puts one of his paws over the ham, kind of protectively, and just kind of looks at her with a curious look of.
Did you take that from the fridge?
Nods yes.
Oh man, that's tomorrow's breakfast. Shit.
Mutt just licks his chops voraciously as he just goes.
You weren't supposed to take that. Who are you?
Mutt looks at himself, kind of raises the other paw, and kind of points to himself.
She lets out a sigh in frustration. Oh boy.
He kind of thinks for a moment as he sees the sigh, or hears the sigh and the look that he sees, and using a partial transformation technique, he focuses in on his vocal cords.
Yeah, roll Stamina Primal Urge, difficulty 9, by the way, for that.
For that? Diff 9? Okay.
Cool. Yeah, it's 9.
I did do it correctly before. Excellent.
He a talking dog now.
Will we succeed? Oh, fuck yes! Quite quickly, too. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. Mutt?
I'm. You can talk?
Can't you?
I'm Mary. Okay, I guess you can have the ham. You look hungry. She has like a very kind tone in her voice. She's just a bit frustrated.
And the smell coming off of him is going to be quite offensive.
Yeah, she is covering her nose. Do you want a bath?
Mutt just kind of looks up. Like, perky ears as they are, they just kind of hone in. You'd really do that for me?
Well, you can wash yourself, right? But there's the bath if you want.
Well, you can run the water. I can do the rest.
Okay. She just leads him to, if he follows, to a downstairs bathroom.
Picks up the ham in his mouth. follows.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a rather large bathtub, fit enough for a wolf. And she turns on the water, makes it kind of like room temperature, and says, "You know how to turn it off?" It's a lever system. He can just press it down, by the way.
Oh, yeah. If you can figure it out, I can figure it out.
Yeah, if you need towels, she points to a box tall enough for him to reach anyway. There's towels in there.
Nah, don't need towels.
Okay. Mutt, see ya. She just walks back
Sets
onto.
down.
She's not afraid, she's sleepy and confused and frustrated.
Well, you should get back to bed. Little girls do need their sleep.
She nods and disappears out of the bathroom. However, at this point, where Dutch is sleeping, Dutch will need to roll me perception and alertness. He is rolling it. Well, as Dutch rests, he hears the vague sound of footsteps somewhere between the trees, the orchard trees.
He just kind of reaches into his pocket. It's no sudden movements. He just grabs hold of that clip and slowly slides it back into the rifle. Taking hold of the bolt, he slides it forward. It's no sudden movements. He doesn't even bother to adjust his hat. His hands are hardly moving, and he just kind of listens to how close it's getting.
It's within earshot, not very close, but it's walking slowly. Let's see if he does not get noticed. He just whoever's walking is trying to be quiet about it, but Dutch is good enough at hearing it, and he can see somebody moving. There's somebody moving between the trees.
Dutch
Like they're
kind
sneaking.
Are they coming towards Dutch or going away from Dutch?
They're going past Dutch and stopping at a distance. They're looking at the house.
At this point, Dutch slowly, no sudden movements, slides out of his vest and actually puts the hat right against the tree that he's currently resting against. Does a quick little roll into the woods, try and stay quiet, like popping up the hood. As opposed to the last time where he was in his bright orange. Now he's set in camo. Loaded rifle, still on safety for the time being. And following this individual, he is trying to end up keeping himself somewhat hidden.
The individual seems to be using a camera, by the way, without a flash, probably night vision camera, and he's just taking pictures of the house and everything else around.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Mutt has interrupted his late night dining with a little bit of late night bathing. Kind of using his paws, kind of scrub, just kind of rolling around in the tub.
There is a moment where Dutch ends up creeping up behind that individual.
Okay. Well, it's darkness. Let's see if individual manages to. Nope. He doesn't manage.
And at this point, there is a tapping of steel along the underside of his head. Or hers, in this case. Male or female at this close? He's pretty close.
Female.
Ma'am, I don't know what you're doing here, but at this point I would suggest place the camera down and hands in the air at this point. This is private property.
At this point, the woman sets the camera down, like just around her neck. It was one of those cams. The hands go up. I would lower that gun if I were you.
I would like not to do anything rash, man, but I don't know you and you're sneaking around, and right now, it is best if we end up keeping things calm. Now, would you be kind enough?
How about you let me go and none of this happen, and there'll be a little something for you. I'm going to run roll manipulation and subterfuge.
Versus his willpower? Or is it supposed to roll?
I guess perception and empathy.
He doesn't have any empathy, so he is at a 7, so... 2.
Yeah, 2. At this point, she says, if you tell me your name, we can, well, reward you in some way. We'll make it worth your while if you let this slip.
Dutch actually even considers this for a second. Smiles. My dear, do you know what time it is?
Oh, well, it's nighttime, so you probably were dreaming about seeing someone here.
Oh, I'm just asking if you have any idea what the time is.
It's about 2 a.m.
Okay. Good enough. He raises the gun barrel upward and fires.
Like, above her head.
Yeah, he just...
Let's see.
Trust me, I don't think anybody in this nearby vicinity is going to need to hear.
Yeah.
You know, that is a good point. That is
At this point, she seems to drop to, you know, all fours. Let's see, how quickly does she do it?
Yeah. Well...
Takes her a while, but she drops to all fours and starts running back into the trees.
At the moment that the shot rang into the air, Mutt jumps out of the tub, slides cleverly through the door, runs up the stairs back the way he came, and out the door. But instead of seeing a normal-sized Mutt, I'll indulge you on the shape-shifting, if you will.
Yeah, please do. Indulge me. I like being indulged.
Anyone who sees him is going to see a larger Mutt. Oh, good lord, and that's fucking quick. Yeah. Much bushier fur, longer fangs, larger paws, looks like something out of, like, prehistory. Leaping out quite a distance from the doorstep, out toward the direction that he heard the shot.
There he would see Dutch.
How much time has he had? Because Dutch's reaction to this is, I would think, fairly obvious.
I'm en route.
Yeah. is Dutch, if she tries to get away, Dutch is currently giving hot pursuit, and while she may be able to run fast, Dutch currently smells like gunpowder, easy to track, and he is tracking her.
Mm-hmm. No. There's time for things to happen in between all this. Not instant.
Yeah, of course.
Suffice it to say, I am surprised that she wants to run from somebody who has a gun, and at this current count, 5 friends that can run a lot faster than she can. But that's the kind of lady she is. That's the kind of lady she is. So she's trying to run. Dutch is trying to track.
He would be able to follow her movements barely. She's running in a zigzag pattern. She's not running in a straight line.
Is he able to? Would he know well enough to know when it's a zigzag? Like, is there a clear pattern of her trying to lose?
It's a very chaotic pattern, but it's a zigzag, basically.
All right. Dutch will continue to end up giving chase.
Mm-hmm. At this point, from in front of him, he can still see the one in lupus form, and I assume by this time Mutt would have caught up because he's much larger than a wolf, so he runs much faster than a wolf.
Yeah, let me give you a little stamina.
Athletics.
It's a huge fucking dice pool. Standard or up one?
Well, up one, you're a hispo. You don't have any bonuses to athletics, but it's good enough.
Okay. Decent.
Now at this point, also Mutt can see a dark-furred wolf running away, and Dutch is following. The wolf is going very chaotic zigzag pattern. At this point, from before them, the wolf just stops dead in its tracks, like trying to break. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! That kind of expression. And
is it at the moment that she tries to zig?
She was trying to zig, then before her, just as she moved, she just like, holy shit, she just saw something.
Right at the moment that she tries to zig, Mutt is going to try to counter her inevitable zag by leaping and pouncing on her.
Okay, roll me a body tackle. Remember, she's a moving target. Normally it's difficulty 7, but difficulty 8 would be in this case.
Okay.
Because she's about to quickly turn.
And that's Dex Brawl, I believe.
Yeah, brawl. It doesn't really do damage, but enough.
No. Not trying to do damage. Not at the moment, anyway. Unless you would like me to. Okay. Sorry, just had to... Been a while since I've had to count so many dots.
Second that you feel like you're rolling 10 dots, like I made a broken character.
Right?
Yeah, but they're not broken in werewolf terms.
Yeah, vampire player, man, leave me alone.
2.
2 successes.
Yep.
Okay, I will roll her opposed dexterity and athletics to see if she can deal with it. You had 2?
Yes.
Nope, you managed to nail her.
Dutch is charging directly behind when he observes Ed taking hold of the situation, at least what it seems to be temporarily. How do you take him down?
As this...
I mean, like, specifically, I need to know how Ed takes her down.
When you see her zig off to the right, he kind of makes a counter motion right before the impending zag, leaps into the air forward, jumps onto her back,
in hispo,
and once she is down, He grabs a hold, not to do damage, but grabs a hold of the scruff of her neck, holding her in place, pinning her, with one paw on her back.
Yeah. Dutch charges up, and he immediately has the gun probably not more than a foot from her head, and his first response is, "Ma'am, the next one is Silva." Intimidation.
At this point, since the D4 I rolled, 4 figures basically, she was coming to a halt because 4 figures basically just appeared before her. They're all women, obviously, and they all seem to have round shields and spears. She basically was walking into a wall of spears. Only 4 of them, but... Nobody knows where they came from.
Mutt looks back at Dutch.
Dutch is currently looking up at them and then looking down at her, and he's got a loaded rifle and no idea what the hell to be pointing at.
Because I think this applies when it goes lupus to human, animalkin.
Yeah.
I think it can apply.
It can apply, yeah.
I'm going to try with intelligence animalkin to look back at Dutch and try to somehow convey lower the rifle. Watch her.
Well, the first thing is that statement still stands, so I'm going to roll manipulation, intimidate.
Okay.
And then I will roll my whatever you require me to roll in order to see if I understand Ed. Single point intimidate.
Probably wits, animalkin, intelligence animalkin.
Wits animalkin, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So this is at penalty 7+.
Yeah, about.
Okay, 2 successes. One success for the intimidate, 2 for the communication. And
while the person caught by Ed is not really intimidated by Dutch, she doesn't seem to give in to the intimidation. She does have a rifle pointed at her head. And there's basically 4 spears just pointed at her as well, as she's laying on the ground.
Being satisfied with this and noticing the 4 figures you said? Yeah, 4 figures.
4.
Mutt removes his paw very slowly, very carefully, lets go of the scruff of her neck, and tries to shift into... Fuck. He's going to try to shift his vocal cords. God,
okay.
Never easy to do. Wow, good lord, and quickly. So Ed turns his head looking at the 4 figures. State your name, state purpose.
One
as
of them
he just stands on his haunches.
Stone Bulwark, Guardian Black Furies. And you are... She looks at Mutt.
Ed. Arun Bonars.
Then good job, Ed. She seems satisfied with his effort. We are local guardians. We heard the gunshot and we converged on this place immediately.
Who's she?
Well, that's what we have to find out, won't we?
I'll tell you what. We take her back the way we came. You stay outside the area on the perimeter. But I give you my word. I give you my absolute word. As soon as I can tell you anything, once it's okayed by the leaders of the man's Sept will inform you as to who she is, but we will find out. She was on our land.
We are the Sept's guardians, Ed.
Oh. Ed just kind of stands, kind of, if he could wrap the fingers on his paws, he would, but he just kind of tap, 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 tap.
They look at the same woman who spoke, looks at Dutch. Well done.
Oops.
Well done in raising the alarm. And well done in catching her.
I'm new. Well, new here.
She has photographs sneaking around in the woods trying to take a few snapshots.
At this
trying
point,
to get a hold of the wildlife.
At this point, the woman basically reverts instantly to the wolf goes to Hamid, and with her head bowed, obviously there's shame on her face, as two of the guardians literally just grab her by the arms and drag her towards the house, in a not very nice way.
Dutch raises the rifle as soon as they get out, and he's very careful not to have the tip go anywhere outside. Immediately safeties the rifle.
Mutt kind of turns back around toward Dutch, kind of walks toward him, looks up. Thank you.
I need a beer. He just starts wandering towards the cairn.
One of the guardians literally grabs his shoulder, but gently. You have to come as well to the house.
Well, I know what this means for me. I'll follow. As long as I can get my ham first.
Oh, great.
And Mutt just takes off toward the house so he can get his ham. And then once he goes in the house, goes back downstairs toward the bathroom, runs back outside, and then just kind of waits.
The woman is brought to the house. She tried to squirm and break free a few times, but the guardians basically blackjacked her once. Then she was more cooperative. You can see, by the way, the blind woman, she came downstairs. The warder is there in his lupus form as he's watching this prisoner being dragged in. And Grandpa Joe with the alpha is with a very sleepy face. He just woke up, and the lights are on everywhere. Everybody woke up at Dutch's shot.
I told her, yeah, 2 o'clock comes early. Dutch at this point has at least gone by to pick up his orange. While he does not end up placing back on his vest, he does end up placing his hat back on. He is a little bit naked without it.
At this point, from a little move from Grandpa Joe, the prisoner is taken towards the barn, and everybody who wants to walk in can.
Mutt will pick up his ham, still in Hispo, walks toward the barn.
And Dutch, he ends up stepping into the barn as well, because clearly his presence is going to be required.
At this point, one of the other Garou that wasn't really seen before steps forward, a large, burly man with pale blonde hair. He looks upon the prisoner. There's disgust in his face. And he speaks. I'm Gunnar Haraldsson, truth catcher of the Sept, and we have a prisoner before us. we ask that she reveal her identity. She looks up at this man, trying to hide her shame. Let's try, well, manipulation, I guess, or charisma subterfuge for her. She tries to hide the shame, but it's, well, probably there. Many of them can see it. Alexandra Zenov, Shadow Claw, Ragabash of the Shadow Lords. She just bows her head down. And then the big blonde man turns towards Dutch and Mutt.
Mutt kind of lifts his head from his ham. By now, given his bow and all, it's down to a bone. He gets up.
He looks at Dutch first. They said you were the one who saw her. What exactly happened? Speak, cub.
Dutch kind of grimaces how they'd love to end up just keep reminding him of his place. Stops for a minute. Well, I ended up decided to end up laying down against that fall tree there. Ended up deciding it seemed like a good place to sleep. Especially after I ended up having to hear Ed go off for a little bit. Kind of tired of his antics. Probably there for, give it about a half hour. Almost dozing off, and hear a rustling in the tree line. Realized that something's skulking about. I figure I end up taking a look for it. Slip out of my orange. End up loading up the rifle. End up here near Cairn over. See this woman taking pictures with the camera. I'm not 100% sure what she was taking it of, but it was enough to end up keeping her distracted when I ended up placing my rifle into the lower part of her skull to end up telling that she had been alerted. To which, when she ended up standing up and putting her hands on her head, she then ended up promising me reward if I was to just let her slip away. Never mentioned. Gave it some thought, actually. It would be nice to end up getting some recognition for once. But instead, I figured I asked her what time it was. Once she finally gave me an answer, 2 o'clock, I figured everybody slept in long enough. Fired my first round to end up waking everybody, and she ended up taking off. Proceeded to track through the woods. She ended up trying to doing a serpentine pattern to lose me, but didn't do too well. I'm guessing that Ed ended up following my trail because magic gunpowder ain't particularly difficult to track. By the time I ended up coming out of the woods, Mutt came out about the same time, jumped on top of her, ended up getting hold of the back of her neck. I ended up rushing forward, placing the gun in her face, trying to end up getting her to stay down, and at that point the other Guardians happened to show up. In which case, Mutt then ended up proceeding to question them on what they were doing here and who they were, and then proceeded to try and negotiate for bringing the accused inside himself as opposed to the Guardians. In which case they had to remind him of his current place and their duty towards the camp. At that point, we ended up arriving back here. I grabbed my orange and I ended up stepping inside.
The man
comes up.
Thank you, Dutch. If that was your name, I mean.
Yes. Thank you very much for using it. Appreciate it.
He looks back towards Mutt. But he doesn't ask anything. Then he looks towards the woman, who goes and he asks plainly, What were you taking pictures of? And he grabs the camera from her neck and just strips it free and hands it to another person, to Jim, who showed up out of nowhere. Jim takes the camera.
Fuck.
At this point, Mutt is going to stand up and look at her and just.
As she does this, the large man just picks her up by the collar of her throat. She's in Homid now. Looks at her. I would rip your head off now, but our esteemed Alpha insisted that we find out why you are here first. So, well, even if whatever you say, you're going to die. Do you understand that? She looks at her. She looks at him back. You can't kill me. You can't. I'm your fellow Guru. I was just following orders, she says.
Mutt, still in his spell, kind of speaks up at this point. I don't think it's necessary to kill her. You can find another punishment.
Oh, we have a punishment for her. Something worse than death.
And what is that?
You'll see soon enough. The man just bangs her like with full force against the wall. He seems to be strong enough to hold her just with one hand. He's really big.
I got the impression that, yes.
I think that's a bit unnecessary.
He drops her to the ground and she finally speaks. My elders, they asked me to scout this place up. I do not know for what reason. They wanted me to take pictures and take them back to our Sept to the north. She closes her eyes. She's obviously in a lot of conflict, but at this point, she has to speak.
And what would your Sept Cairn leaders do if somebody from here were to go up there and snoop around?
Punish them?
How?
I do not know. I'm not a philodox.
Well, I think you should start thinking really hard right now. Because personally, I've seen the worst tempers amongst Guru firsthand, and I don't know about you, but I don't see any get around here.
And at this point, the man looks at Dutch, looks at Mutt, then back to the prisoner. Who sent you here exactly? Names. Give me a name. She looks up at him. If I tell you, he's going to kill me.
If you don't tell him, then he's going to kill you right here. I think to save your life, you should come clean.
I'm gonna roll a willpower at this point for her. And she bows her head down, and with the same shame tone she speaks. Vladislav Dragic, our warder. At this point, the man just doesn't really bother with her anymore and says, for dishonoring our Cairn, for stepping on our territory without announcing yourself, making thus a breach in our laws, as truth catcher, I hereby sentence you to ostracism and shame. She mumbles a faint, no. May all here know of your dishonor. And may our valiant defenders Dutch and new person that I do not know yet take part in the rite to witness your shame.
At that point, Mutt,
There's a bout of anger in her. She tries to step forward and do something to that big man, but a kick in the face just sends her flying backwards. He's not killing her, but
at this point, Mutt, where he's standing, because he's seen something like this at least once. He turns his back and lowers his head.
the rite
Very
will be
pointedly.
yeah, the rite will be performed immediately. At this point, the man looks towards Dutch. Dutch, please step forward.
Okay. Dutch is really confused as to what they're talking about at this point. He kind of steps forward anyway, just not to rock the boat.
Sonny,
Seems to be-
son, I know you're not aware of these rights we have. We haven't been taught about everything yet, but you have been told about the laws, yes?
Yes, sir. That would be correct.
And you do know one law that speaks respect the territory of another.
In which case, she did not end up introducing herself as you have laid out the charges.
And she was taking pictures, as you clearly mentioned.
Yes, well, they're on a camera right there, so.
Well, in this situation, you must understand that punishment is required. Consider this part of your training. We will perform a rite that will dishonor her and her name for a long, long time, unless you make amends. All we know of her shame and failure. And you must participate in this rite for being the one who caught her. You caught her transgression against the litany, so it's only fitting that you do so.
What exactly are you asking of me, sir?
I'm asking you to take part in the rite, and what you will have to do is simply declare her shame and turn away like Ed Mutt did to just now. I will start performing the rite immediately. The Grandpa Joe, by the way, witnesses this. As soon as it's over, he just sits there, just presiding over the thing. He's just watching. Do what everybody else does, pretty much, and it will be explained to you what this rite does eventually.
Kind of looking. Despite this entire thing built around her shame, it's actually becoming Dutch who's feeling shameful. Not quite understanding what the hell's going on here. Still, he'll just do as he's told at this kind of juncture. No sense rocking the boat.
At this point, the woman is dragged by the two guardians to the middle of the barn, and the old woman, the blind woman, steps forward. She seems to perform what seems to be a small ceremony. At this point, the veil itself between the umbrella, the umbra,
The umbrella! Yellow and red.
and the physical world appears, like splits. And what seems to be a storm crow, wreathed in energy, appears. It's a rather large bird. It lands on a perch. The woman seems to speak to it in a weird language. At the point, the bird acknowledges this. And several Garou who witness this, including the four guardians, form a circle around the woman.
Are we supposed to take our place in this circle, or are we supposed to simply observe? It.
The man basically points that you should take your place in the circle.
Okay. And he does so. Trying not to be very sensitive on where that rifle is now pointed, even though it is safetied in. Currently, there's no round in the chamber. Still, makes him a little nervous. Don't like this, spirit world. The less time he spends in the Umbra, or as Dutch would call it, the umbrella, the better off he would be.
But he is now in the physical world. The spirit came to the physical world.
Okay. Alright, thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. At this point, the man steps forward into the circle. He draws a circle around her and writes down what seems to be runes. Actual runes, not glyphs. He speaks then, I, Gunnar Haraldsson, truth catcher in Philodox of the Ghetto Fenris. Due to transgressions against the litany, find Shadowclaw, Ragabash of the Shadow Lords, guilty for failing to respect the territory of our Sept and engaging in dishonorable conduct within the confines of our Sept's territory. For this, I bring shame upon her and ostracism. May her name be shunned by her peers and the great spirits until she makes amends for this. He turns away from her, bowing down, and there's actually a shamed expression on his face. Shame. The Guardians do the same. They just really follow suit in the whole process.
When it comes around to Mutt, he'd probably be like, maybe on the very edge of the circle. But with his head down, he just he lets out a bark, just letting his vocal cords revert. A couple barks that are basically shame, with his back still turned to her.
Dutch, he's actually looks her in the eye. Gives it a minute actually to linger. He's not as snapped to it as everybody else, you know. Maybe he's looking for something in her eye. Then
roll me perception empathy, by the way.
Or perception at like a difficulty of 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, perception difficulty 7. Nope. He doesn't detect a damn thing. He botches.
Yeah.
But he's looking in, he's just gives it a second. And then snaps, almost turning on his heels like some kind of drill sergeant. Shame.
At this point, the let's say the convicted one just lowers her head. She's just holding like this against the ground. She's like on her knees. There's obviously this really bothered her. And as they stay like that in the circle for about a minute, then the circle breaks. And the warder who was presiding this exchanges a glance with Grandpa Joe, the Alpha, and says, "Take her to a holding cell in the basement." She is grabbed again by the Guardians, but she walks more or less on her own will this time, and she's taken towards the basement of the barn. There's stairs going at the end of the barn down.
When Mutt is satisfied with his ever so keen canine hearing that the shamed is out of his sight, he raises his head and turns around, grabbing the ham bone.
The Rite Master, the Truth Catcher, seems to just He thanks basically both Mutt and Dutch for their services, and goes along the lines of that your service that you performed tonight will not be forgotten. And as for Dutch, he seems to be learning more and more with each passing day. And I understand, Dutch, probably you don't agree with our methods or our ways in some cases, but this is tradition for us.
Yeah, well, I'd have to end up asking a few more questions on that, but I'm not here to end up questioning how things go right now. You told me right out of the gate that today it's shut up and learn time, so I've done that. Doesn't mean I gotta like it.
Indeed. None of us like what happened, Dutch. But it had to be done. At this point, the spirit just disappeared back into the umbrella, or umbra.
The Rite Master is the Get.
Is the Get, yeah.
Now that I take another look at him, I recognize that. I step toward him, kind of shifting the bone in his muzzle, and he just kind of lifts his head in a way like offering.
The Get looks at Mutt, and since he actually has seen wolves before, he reaches down, taking the bone, like bows in offering, accepts the offering.
Mutt lowers his head in a bow and just kind of backs off, still facing him.
At this point, the crowd seems to break. Everybody's mostly quiet. Everybody seems to just want to go back to sleep, leaving only Mutt and a guardian that was posted in, and Dutch in the barn.
Dutch at this point, since it's probably been a few minutes, is currently just sitting on a hay bale, perhaps, the rifle leaning against it, just kind of sitting with his head low, hands wrapped around a beer that, while cracked open, can't possibly have more than a few sips missing from it.
Mutt takes his time, kind of just takes a moment to kind of concentrate on a form that's still so alien to him. But he takes his time concentrating, and eventually taking his Hamid form, rifling, patting the many pockets on his cargo pants and his coat, until he comes to one that has a half-full pint bottle of Kentucky bourbon in it. Kind of walks over to Dutch, opening it up. Dutch, I know I've been giving you some shit. I apologize.
Why are you apologizing? You had it picked from the start. I just figure this kind of shit make you happy.
No. In truth, I think I've been angsty because I miss my pack. And when you travel with a group for, a couple years, you kind of get attached, especially when you've seen the kind of combat that I have. But I really did. I really did act unfairly.
It don't matter none, Ed. Don't matter none whatsoever. You guys will keep reminding me it is Cub, nothing else. And it is just a title. It is not worth mentioning. I'm just doing my job to the best of my ability and to the best of my understanding. And at this current juncture, that means very, very little. He just...
Not to me. Tonight, as far as I'm concerned, you're no longer a cub. He takes a swig from the bottle and then offers it to Dutch.
Grabs hold of it for a minute and looks at it.
Actually
Kentucky
smells
bourbon.
good. Mm-hmm.
He takes a slight swig, not even all that much. This doesn't seem to be in it right now. The mouthful of the bourbon, he actually chases it.
Mutt takes the whiskey bottle back. So,
At this,
I just have one question for you, Dutch. Do you want everyone else to see what I'm starting to see? He taps the bottle.
Ed, what I want is not even an option at this point. So at this point, I have stopped caring for the most part until I find something I actually give a shit about. It ain't worth mentioning. Just me getting by again. In about 2 hours, I'll be on my boat, lying in the water, and for at least the next hour, I can at least forget that this is my life as I understand it. And I can forget that at any moment I can end up turning into a 7-foot blood-crazed monster. And I can forget that I am living amongst wolves like as if I'm in some kind of Kevin Costner movie. So pardon if I'm not particularly in the mood of saying I want to end up proclaiming myself king shit of the Turtle Mountain right now. What I want is to go home. And what I want is to end up not remembering that I've done in the past week some terrible things, and I am a man who doesn't flinch twice when at the sight of blood. But hunting, trapping, fishing, being out there, different thing entirely than what you do here. And while I know you can appreciate the idea of wanting to go home, I honestly believe that everyone here has gotten too damn comfortable in your skin.
I guess I could see how that would be the case. You know, I think the best thing is for you to go to familiar territory. It would help clear your head. Take a couple nights. Don't think about it. Don't think about this consciously. It'll be better for you. I saw this once. Yeah. Kinda.
What do you mean, kinda?
Yeah, I've seen I've seen some I've seen some new ones, new guru, have some difficulties similar to this before. And I heard it suggested at one point by a shaman. We'll just call her a shaman. Yeah, you know. Shaman, there's wizard, oogie boogie hocus pocus, that kind of thing. That she find familiar territory. You know, go somewhere that she's comfortable with. Take a couple days not to really think about it. and clear her head. It took a week. But then she returned and, well, it wasn't like a burden was lifted, but not quite as on edge.
I appreciate that you were trying not to use the word cub around me. I appreciate the insight. I will take it under advisement. Right now, I am alone even amongst these Garu. And I gotta figure that shit out myself. He gets up and he kind of takes an empty can of beer in one hand and a safety rifle in the other. He's got a long morning ahead of him if he's going to get the boat ready. Be out on the water for fishing at 5 a.m. And right now most of his evening's been ruined. Maybe lack of sleep, but maybe some time on the water's going to do him some good. Who knows, maybe he'll take Ed's suggestion. Spend some time in familiar territory.
Mutt gets up after Dutch has walked out. Kind of staying inside the barn. Goes over to one of the walls near where one of the guardians is standing there. Kind of looks up at her. Sometimes it's a wonder that we even have cubs survive. As
She
he
looks
said,
at him. She says, "Perhaps." Then she just goes quiet again.
Mutt, sitting down at this point, leaning up against the wall, starts feeling the insane amount of fatigue that's just hit him from his busy day, and just kind of head against the wall, ends up leaning to the left, and falls asleep as the scene closes.